Once in a while, some pretty great folks come through Dallas-Fort Worth, and one of those is David Adelsheim. He's a very well-known winemaker in Oregon whose wines have been enjoyed by thousands of people here in DFW. Our resident wine guru, Haley Hamilton, had a chance to talk to him earlier this month. Take a look.
40-plus years ago, David Adelsheim looked around his native hometown of Portland, Oregon, and said, I think that this is the prime land for growing grapes. He was one of the first, and today his high-rated Pinot Noirs are still some of the best-loved wines from aficionados to novices, and he's with us here today. Welcome, David.
Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to have you. I am such a fan of your wines, and we have been friends for a while. I love to come up to the vineyard and see everything you guys are doing, and I love your story because you really were one of kind of the first in the area. I don't want to call you the father of the area, but you were one of the first. And one thing you've always talked about, though, is the camaraderie that I think Willamette Valley has always had. So
well, because at the beginning, with nobody having money, nobody knowing where Oregon was it the one up next to Canada, you know, and we really had to work together because that was the only way we could make any headway. And you know, I was thinking as I was coming over this morning, Dallas was one of the very first places that Oregon wines were sold outside the Northwest. I know it's interesting that we found in the American Wine Company, Tony LaBarba back in the mid '80s. He said, "Well, you know, we took a chance on California. Maybe this is the next Napa.
Well,
who knows?"
And I think that that's a perfect comparison because people who love Oregon Pinot, me being one of them, it's hard to get us to drink other things because there's such a distinctive style. And so how did you know that Pinot Noir was really the grape for Oregon?
We certainly didn't know it. We planted Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and Riesling because those were the three great grapes from Northern Europe. But we couldn't have known how well we would do as a state. A couple of the other people that helped found the industry came from California and believed that there was no place that was cool enough in California to grow Pinot. And in the day, they hadn't discovered Sonoma Coast and some of the other places that make great Pinot. So really it was thinking that maybe Pinot would work, but really not having any idea.
Well, and it's obviously worked well, and I do think it has such an old world style. A lot of Oregon Pinots have such an old world style. What would you say your kind of house style, the Adelsheim
Well,
style
certainly you can make wine in the winery. I mean, you can't, the grapes are the grapes, but in the winery you can do things to extract a lot of tannin and a lot of dark color and that using a lot of dry ice and new oak and that kind of stuff. Really.
Finagled.
Yeah. And we are at the other extreme. We are trying to have the grape show through, not the winemaking. And so while we use a little dry ice, that actually helps with the cold maceration before fermentation. We don't use huge amounts of new wood. We hope that the first thing you taste is the Willamette Valley-ness of this wine.
Well, and I think you definitely do. I think that that's the amazing thing about all the wines from there. But one thing that you have started doing, you have, of course, your entry-level, the Willamette Valley tier, but you are also really focusing on your single vineyard, your reserve wines. We have a couple here with us. Tell us a little bit about what the two that we have here.
Absolutely. Well, what I thought I would bring today was one of our single vineyards. So this is the Bryan Creek 2010 Pinot Noir. It really smells awful, I bet, huh?
Oh my God, it smells fantastic.
So this is one of our, we make like 8 or 10 single vineyards each year, but most of them we only sell at the winery. A few of them like this, though, are available here.
Wonderful.
So, but the goal with a single vineyard Pinot is that that the specific taste of that vineyard comes through in the wine. And yes, each year is going to be a little different, but if the winemaker is doing a good job and the vineyard manager and all of us are doing a good job, there should be a consistency from year to year of the specific taste of this wine.
Of the actual
aromas.
land, right.
Yeah.
And I think you do. You get that kind of earthiness that I think a lot of Oregon Pinot Noirs have with a lot of strawberry, a lot of cherry, kind of those just gorgeous,
Yep.
beautiful fruit.
And the exact vineyard taste of this wine is definitely sort of brambly and wild, but very red fruited. So it's not like wild blackberries. It's as if it were wild raspberries, if there were such a thing in this country, which there's not. And there's also a real minerality. It's a kind of a whiny term, a little geeky, but
I like that term. I think because I think it's very descriptive, and it really shows exactly what kind of fruit. You also have your reserve. You don't make your reserve.
This actually this isn't even the reserve. This is the top of the line. It's called Vintage 31. We don't make it every year. Exactly. We've only made it 3 times so far. We have high hopes for making a Vintage 35 in 2012, but we don't know that yet. So this is from 2008.
Wonderful.
And one of the great vintages in Oregon's history.
For 2008. Well, wonderful. David, thank you so much for being with us. You can find David's wine pretty much throughout the market. Or you can find it on your website, which is adelsheim.com. Thank you for being here. Cheers, my friend.
Thank you so much. Great to see you in Dallas.